Lieutenant He Jin sat at his desk in the space station Autumn Leaf, watching the stars through his window. The space station was quiet today, just like most days. He liked quiet days. They gave him time to think and enjoy his morning tea. His computer screen lit up with a soft blue light. "Lieutenant, you have a message," said the station's AI in a gentle voice. "It's marked as important." He Jin picked up his cup of tea and took a small sip. "Read it to me, please," he said. The steam from his tea made little clouds in the cool air of his office. The AI's voice changed slightly, becoming more formal. "Lieutenant He Jin, we have received a message from an unknown ship that appeared near Jupiter 2 hours ago. The beings inside want to meet humans for dinner." He Jin almost spilled his tea. In his 5 years on the space station, this was new. Aliens wanting to have dinner. That was different from the usual space traffic they dealt with. "Tell me more about these visitors," He Jin said, putting down his cup carefully. The AI showed a picture on his screen. The aliens looked like tall, gentle beings with skin that reminded him of autumn leaves. Their bodies seemed to change colors slightly, like leaves in a soft breeze. "They call themselves the Autumn Folk," the AI explained. "They say they have been watching Earth for some time. They chose this season to meet us because they like how Earth's trees change colors in autumn. They want to have a peaceful dinner meeting." He Jin smiled. In all the stories he had heard about first contact with aliens, none of them started with a dinner invitation. Most people expected aliens to either arrive with big weapons or to ask for complicated trade deals. He pressed a button on his desk. "Dr. Songmai, please come to my office. We have an interesting situation." 10 minutes later, Dr. Songmai walked in. She was the station's best cultural expert, always calm and thoughtful. He Jin showed her the message and the pictures. "Look at how their skin changes color," Songmai said, leaning closer to the screen. "It's like watching autumn leaves in the wind. And they chose this time because of Earth's autumn season." "That's fascinating." The AI spoke again. "They say they have been studying human cultures. They are most interested in how humans celebrate seasons and share meals together. They think having dinner is the best way to meet for the first time." He Jin and Songmai looked at each other. This could be the most important dinner in human history. It needed to be perfect. "We should use the observation deck," Songmai suggested. "It has the best view of Earth, and we can set up the atmospheric controls to make it feel like autumn. Maybe even add some gentle rain sounds." He Jin nodded. "The aliens might like that. Their message says they find the sound of rain peaceful." He looked at the Earth through his window, where clouds were moving across North America. "We should tell the kitchen to prepare both Earth food and something their kind can eat." "I'll start researching their culture right away," Songmai said. "We need to understand their customs. We don't want to make mistakes at a dinner this important." As Songmai left his office, He Jin looked at the picture of the Autumn Folk again. Their peaceful appearance made him feel hopeful. Maybe this would be the beginning of something wonderful for both species. The AI dimmed the lights slightly as rain clouds appeared over the station. "Lieutenant, the Autumn Folk ship will arrive in 24 hours. Shall I start the dinner preparations?" "Yes," He Jin said, finishing his now cold tea. "Let's make this the most peaceful first contact in history." Outside his window, the Earth continued its slow spin, its autumn colors visible even from space, waiting to welcome their new visitors. Dr. Songmai sat in the station's library, surrounded by floating screens. She had been studying for 6 hours straight, trying to learn everything she could about the Autumn Folk. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of her fingers tapping on the screens. "Their colors mean something," she said to herself, watching videos of the Autumn Folk's ship. The alien's leaf-like skin changed from gold to red to soft orange. She wrote everything down in her tablet. The door opened, and Taduan walked in carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate. He was the station's best communications expert, and Songmai had asked for his help. "You need to rest," he said, putting one cup on her desk. The dinner is still 18 hours away. Song Mei took a sip of the hot chocolate. "Look at this," she said, pointing to one of the screens. "When they're happy, their skin turns golden, like maple leaves in early autumn. When they're thinking deeply, it turns dark red, like oak leaves." Taiwan sat down and looked at the pictures. "It's like they wear their emotions on their skin," he said. "That could make talking to them easier. We'll know how they feel just by looking at them." The station's eye appeared on a nearby screen. "Dr. Song Mei, Lieutenant He Jin needs an update on the dinner preparations." In the station's big kitchen, He Jin was tasting different foods. The kitchen staff had been cooking all day, trying to make both human and alien food. The air smelled like autumn spices, cinnamon, apple, and pumpkin. "The autumn folk can eat most plant-based foods," Song Mai explained as she walked in. "They love anything that grows from the ground, but they have never tried earth foods before." He Jin picked up a small orange cake. "What about these? They're made with pumpkin and sweet potatoes." "Perfect," Song Mai said. "They especially like orange foods. The color reminds them of their home world's forever autumn." On the observation deck, workers were setting up the dining area. They brought in special chairs that could fit the tall autumn folk comfortably. The deck's big windows showed Earth below, its northern half covered in autumn colors. Min Ho, the security officer, watched the preparations with careful eyes. "Are we sure about the rain sounds?" he asked. "We don't want to make them uncomfortable." Song Mei showed him her tablet. "The autumn folk use rain sounds to help them speak. The soft noise helps carry their voice vibrations better. That's why they chose this season to visit. They love Earth's autumn rains." The station's AI turned on the atmospheric controls. Soft rain sounds filled the room, and tiny drops of water ran down the windows. The lights dimmed slightly, making it feel like a peaceful autumn evening. "One more thing," Song Mei said. She took out some small devices and put them on the table. "These will help translate the autumn folks' color changes. When they change colors, the devices will tell us what emotions they're showing." He Jin picked up one of the devices. "You did all this research in just a few hours." Song Mei smiled. "The autumn folk sent us lots of information. They want this meeting to work. They believe sharing a meal is the best way to make friends." Outside the windows, Earth turned slowly. The sun was setting over Asia, and city lights were starting to shine. In a few hours, the autumn folk would arrive for dinner. "Everything is ready," the AI announced. "The autumn folk ship will dock in 12 hours. He Jin looked around the observation deck. The tables were set with both Earth dishes and alien foods. The rain sounds made everything feel calm and peaceful. Soon, they would have dinner with beings from another world. "Now we wait," Song Mai said, watching the stars, "and hope they like our cooking." The observation deck of Space Station Autumn Leaf was quiet except for the gentle sound of falling rain. Lieutenant He Jin stood by the large windows, watching the autumn folks' ship come closer. The ship looked like a giant leaf made of silver metal, spinning slowly as it approached the station. "They're ready to come aboard," the station's AI announced. The soft rain sounds mixed with the quiet hum of the station's engines. Dr. Song Mei checked the translation devices one last time. Her hands shook a little as she adjusted her uniform. This was the biggest moment of her career, the first dinner with beings from another world. The door to the observation deck opened with a soft whisper. Everyone held their breath. 3 tall figures stepped into the room, their leaf-like skin shimmering with gentle colors. The tallest one, their leader, had skin that looked like golden maple leaves in sunlight. "Welcome to Space Station Autumn Leaf," He Jin said, bowing slightly. The translation device on the table hummed quietly. The tall figure bowed back, its skin changing to a warm orange color. "I am Kaiho," it said in a voice that sounded like wind through trees. "We chose this name to honor your ways." The rain sounds seemed to carry their words better, just as Song Mai had predicted. Taiwan watched the translation device. Their colors show happiness and respect. He whispered to Hujin. The orange means they feel welcome. Kaiho and the other autumn folk moved with smooth, gentle steps. Their bodies swayed slightly, like branches in a breeze. They looked at the earth through the windows, their skin turning bright gold with excitement. Your world is beautiful, Kiho said. We have watched your autumn seasons for many years. The way your trees change color reminds us of our home. Song Mei guided them to the dining table. Steam rose from bowls of pumpkin soup, and plates of colorful vegetables were arranged like fallen leaves. The autumn folk's skin shifted to deep red, the color of wonder and curiosity. We have prepared foods that we hope you will enjoy, Song Mai explained. These are traditional earth dishes we share during autumn. Kaiho picked up a small orange cake with long, delicate fingers. Their skin rippled with patterns of gold and amber as they tasted it. This is wonderful, they said. It tastes like warmth and peace. The other autumn folk tried different dishes, their skin changing colors with each new taste. The humans watched in amazement as patterns of color flowed across their visitors' bodies like autumn winds through trees. Hajin noticed that the rain sounds had gotten softer. The station's AI was adjusting them perfectly, making it easier for everyone to talk. The autumn folk seemed more relaxed with each passing minute, their movements becoming more flowing and natural. We brought something from our world too, Kiho said. They took out small glowing crystals that looked like frozen drops of sunlight. These are memory fruits from our eternal autumn. They hold the stories of our people. The crystals floated above the table, casting warm, golden light that made everything look like a perfect autumn afternoon. The humans watched in wonder as tiny images appeared in the light, scenes from the autumn folks' world. This is how we share our stories, Kiho explained, through light and color, just as your trees share their stories through changing leaves. Outside the windows, Earth continued its slow turn. The station's artificial rain made soft patterns on the glass, and the smell of autumn spices filled the air. In that peaceful moment, the distance between their worlds seemed to fade away. The first dinner between humans and the autumn folk was going better than anyone had hoped. As Hojin looked around the table, he saw something remarkable. Both humans and aliens smiling in their own ways, sharing food and stories under the gentle rain. Taiwan sat quietly at the dinner table, watching the translation devices with great interest. As the soft rain sounds filled the observation deck, he noticed something fascinating. Every time the rain's pattern changed slightly, the autumn folks' voices became clearer or softer. He adjusted some settings on his personal translator and leaned forward. The rain, he said softly to Dr. Songmei. It's not just background noise. It's helping them speak. Songmei looked at their alien guests with new understanding. Kiho and the other autumn folk were telling stories about their home world, their voices rising and falling with the gentle rhythm of the rain. Their skin shifted through warm autumn colors as they spoke, amber, russet, and gold. On our world, Kiho explained, their voice blending perfectly with the rain sounds. We never needed to build weapons or great machines of war. Our seasons taught us to bend like trees in the wind, to grow slowly and surely like leaves turning color. The station's AI adjusted the rain sounds again, making them sound like leaves rustling in a gentle breeze. Kiho's voice became even clearer, and patterns of light danced across their leaf-like skin. Hojin noticed that the other two autumn folk were moving their long fingers in time with Kaiho's words, creating soft vibrations in the air. These vibrations mixed with the rain sounds, making the story feel alive in the room. Our cities, Kiho continued, grow from the ground like gardens. We shape them over hundreds of years, just as nature shapes the land. As they spoke, the memory crystals floating above the table showed images of beautiful buildings that looked like they were made from living trees and crystals. Taiwan made more adjustments to the translation devices. Their language isn't just words, he explained to the others. It's a combination of sounds, colors, and vibrations. The rain helps carry all these elements together. One of the other autumn folk, who had chosen the name Muhan, spoke up. Their skin turned a deep copper color as they asked about Earth's languages. We hear so many different sounds in your world's communications. How do you understand each other? Songmai explained about Earth's many languages and cultures. As she spoke, the autumn folk's skin rippled with patterns of interested oranges and golds. They seemed amazed that humans could communicate in so many different ways. The dinner continued as the station moved through its orbit. Outside the windows, they could see the lights of cities appearing as night fell over Asia. The sight made the autumn folk's skin shimmer with excitement. Your world glows like stars fallen to the ground, Kehoe said, their voice mixing with the rain sounds to create a musical tone. We watched these lights for many years, wondering about the beings who made them. The Jinn offered them more of the pumpkin soup, which had become their favorite earth food. What made you decide to finally visit us? He asked. Kaiho's skin turned a deep, thoughtful red. We saw how you celebrate your seasons, how you gather together when the leaves change color, how you share meals and stories. We realize that despite all your technology, you still remember to listen to the voice of nature. As if to emphasize their words, a particularly beautiful pattern of rain ran down the observation deck's windows. The drops caught the light from Earth below, creating tiny rainbows that danced across the dinner table. Taiwan saved all the translation data he had gathered. He knew that understanding how the autumn folk communicated would be important for future meetings. But more than that, he realized that sometimes the best conversations happened not through words alone, but through sharing peaceful moments together. As the evening continued on Space Station Autumn Leaf, young diplomat Jaya entered the observation deck carrying the silver tray. Steam rose from a collection of earthenware cups, filling the air with the sweet smell of apples and cinnamon. The autumn folk turned their heads in unison, their skin shifting to a curious shade of copper. I thought our guests might like to try something special, Jaya said, setting down the tray carefully. This is hot apple cider, a traditional autumn drink from Earth. Kaiho watched with interest as Jaya poured the golden brown liquid into cups. The steam twisted in the soft artificial rain, creating delicate patterns in the air. The other autumn folk, Nuhan, and their companion Duyen, leaned forward, their skin shimmering with anticipation. On Earth, Jaya explained, lifting one cup to show them, we often share warm drinks when the weather turns cold. It brings people together. She demonstrated how to hold the cup, wrapping her hands around its warm surface. Kaiho picked up a cup with their long, graceful fingers. Their skin rippled with waves of amber and gold as they felt the warmth. Your people make heat into something beautiful, they said, their voice mixing with the rain sounds. On our world, we never need warm drinks because our season is always perfect. The autumn folk all took careful sips of the cider. As they tasted it, their skin erupted in bright, joyful colors, golds and oranges so vivid they seemed to light up the room. The memory crystals floating above the table pulsed in response, casting warm light across everyone's faces. This taste, Du Yen said, speaking for the first time, it reminds us of the light fruits that grow in our eternal autumn. But it is warm, like holding sunlight. Their voice carried the soft vibrations that showed deep pleasure in their culture. Ajin and Songmai exchanged pleased looks. The simple act of sharing a warm drink had created a moment of perfect understanding between their species. The station's AI adjusted the rain sounds to a gentler pattern, matching the peaceful mood. Would you share one of your traditions with us? Jaya asked, pouring more cider for everyone. The question made the autumn folk's skin turn thoughtful shades of deep red. Kaiho set down their cup and raised their hands. The other autumn folk did the same, and together they began to move their fingers in complex patterns. The air seemed to shimmer, and the rain sounds wove themselves into a gentle melody. This is our gratitude song, Kaiho explained as their fingers continued to dance. When we receive kindness, We shake the air and rain into music to show our thanks. The humans sat in wonder as the observation deck filled with the most beautiful sounds they had ever heard. It was like listening to autumn leaves dancing in the wind, mixed with the soft patter of rain and distant chimes. The memory crystals spun slowly, adding sparkles of golden light to the magical moment. Jaya touched her translation device gently. "The colors they're showing," she whispered to Songmei. "They're the exact same shades as Earth's most beautiful autumn days." Through the windows, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun. The station's orbit had taken them over North America again, where the real autumn colors were visible even from space. The autumn folk's skin shifted to match those colors perfectly, creating a bridge between their two worlds. In that peaceful moment, sharing warm drinks and ancient songs, both species realized that despite coming from different stars, they had found something rare and precious, a true connection built on understanding and respect. Lieutenant He Jin stood by the observation deck windows, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The dinner with the autumn folk had been going on for several hours now, and something important had been bothering him. He turned back to look at their guests, studying their peaceful movements and changing colors. "May I ask you something, Kehoe?" He Jin said, walking back to the table. The gentle rain sounds carried his words clearly across the room. "Of all the species in space, why did you choose to contact humans first?" Kaiho's skin shifted to a deep, thoughtful red. The other autumn folk, Mu Han and Du Yen, exchanged glances, their colors synchronizing into matching shades of amber. The memory crystals above the table pulsed with soft light. "Watch," Kehoe said, pointing to the earth below. "Your world changes with the seasons. The colors move across your land like waves on water. But more important than that is how your people change with them." The station's AI adjusted the windows, showing them images of Earth through different seasons. They watched as green forests turned to gold, as white snow melted into spring, as flowers bloomed and faded. "We have watched many species reach for the stars," Kehoe continued, their voice mixing with the rain in a gentle harmony. "Most of them try to control everything. They build cities that ignore the seasons. They forget to listen to their own worlds." He Jin nodded slowly, beginning to understand. Dr. Songmei moved closer, her eyes wide with realization. The translation devices hummed softly, capturing every word and color change. "But humans," Kehoe said, their skin brightening to a warm gold, "you still celebrate your seasons. You plant gardens in spring. You play in summer sun. You share warm drinks in autumn. You tell stories in winter. Even after reaching space, you remember to watch the leaves change color." The memory crystals showed images of other alien civilizations, worlds covered in metal cities, planets wrapped in artificial atmospheres. Then they showed Earth, with its mix of cities and nature, technology and tradition. "We chose you," Mu Han added, their colors shifting to match Kehoe's, "because you understand balance. You build great machines, but you also plant trees. You travel to the stars, but you still walk in autumn forests." He Jin looked around the observation deck. They had chosen to meet here because it had the best view of Earth. But now he realized that the autumn folk had wanted more than just a view. They had wanted to show humans something about themselves. "Your station's name is Autumn Leaf," Du Yen said softly. "Even here in space, you remember the beauty of falling leaves. That is why we knew you would understand us." The rain sounds changed to a gentler pattern, almost like music. Outside the windows, the sun was rising over Asia again, painting the sky in colors that perfectly matched the autumn folks' peaceful golden glow. Songmei touched one of the translation devices gently. "All this time," she said, "we thought we were learning about them. But they were showing us something about ourselves." He Jin smiled, watching Earth turn below them. Humans had spent years wondering what first contact would be like, imagining grand speeches and complicated treaties. Instead, it had happened over a simple dinner, with beings who saw the beauty in the way leaves changed color. The Autumn folk had chosen humans not for their technology or their power, but for their ability to remember the importance of natural cycles even as they reached for the stars. It was a revelation as gentle as falling leaves, but as important as any scientific discovery. Security Officer Minho stood quietly in his corner of the observation deck, watching the peaceful dinner unfold. When he had first learned about the Autumn folks' visit, he had been concerned. His job was to protect the station, and unknown aliens always meant possible danger. But now, after hours of watching them, his thoughts had changed completely. The Autumn folk were showing the humans their technology through the floating memory crystals. Images of their world filled the air above the dinner table. Minho watched with growing amazement as he saw their cities, their ships, and their way of life. "Our buildings grow," Keiho explained, their voice blending with the gentle rain sounds. "We plant crystal seeds in the ground, and over many years, they become homes and meeting places. They need no fuel because they use the natural energy of our world." Minho moved closer to the table, his security training forgotten in his fascination. The images showed beautiful structures that looked like they were made of living crystal and light. They changed colors with the seasons, just like the Autumn folk themselves. "But how do you defend them?" Minho asked before he could stop himself. "What if other species try to attack?" Kaiho's skin shifted to a calm, deep orange. "We learned long ago that the strongest defense is to make peace valuable to others. Our cities cannot be destroyed because they are part of our world's natural cycle. They can only be grown, not built or broken." The memory crystals showed more images. The humans saw how the Autumn folks' technology worked with nature instead of trying to control it. Their spaceships used the patterns of stellar winds. Their computers ran on light and crystal growth. Even their medicines came from understanding natural cycles. "We have no weapons," Muhan added, their skin glowing with gentle pride. "But we have survived longer than many warrior species. They fight and fall, while we grow and remain." Doyen touched one of the memory crystals, making it show a new image. "Look at your own world," they said. "The trees that bend in storms survive better than those that stand rigid. This is the strength we choose." Minho watched the other humans' reactions. Heijin was nodding thoughtfully, while Songmei was taking careful notes. Jia and Taiwan were studying the crystal technology with wonder in their eyes. The rain sounds made a peaceful backdrop to their discoveries. "Your ways are different from what we expected," Minho admitted. "When I first heard about alien visitors, I prepared for danger. But you show us that real strength can be gentle." Kaiho's skin rippled with patterns of gold and amber. Their way of showing agreement. "The universe has many paths," they said. "Some species choose to push against it, like walking into a strong wind. We choose to move with it, like leaves dancing in the breeze." The station's AI adjusted the lighting, making it match the soft glow of the memory crystals. Outside the windows, Earth continued its endless dance through space, its autumn colors visible on the northern continents. The sight reminded Minho of what the Autumn folk had been saying. Nature's patterns held more wisdom than they had imagined. In his years as a security officer, Minho had learned many ways to protect people from harm. But here, watching these peaceful beings share their knowledge, he understood that sometimes the best protection was to learn new ways of thinking. The Autumn folks' strength wasn't in weapons or walls, but in their ability to grow, adapt, and bring out the best in others. The artificial rain on Space Station Autumn Leaf began to slow down, becoming a gentle mist. Through the observation deck windows, the first rays of a new day touched Earth's surface. Lieutenant Heijin looked at the clock and realized they had been talking with the Autumn folk for nearly 12 hours, though it had felt like minutes. Kaiho stood up from the table, their tall form graceful in the morning light. Their skin had settled into a deep, rich gold color that spoke of contentment and purpose. The other Autumn folk, Muhan and Duyin, rose as well, their colors matching their leader's peaceful glow. "The time has come," Kehoe said, their voice carrying clearly even through the lighter rain sounds. "We would like to offer something to Earth and its people." Dr. Songmai activated a new translation device, making sure to record every word and color change. The memory crystals floating above the table grew brighter, casting warm light across everyone's faces. "We want to share our environmental technology with you," Kehoe continued. "We have watched how hard you try to protect your world. Our knowledge of growing cities and crystal energy could help." He-Jin stepped forward, his face showing careful hope. "That is a generous offer," he said. "What would you want in return?" The autumn folk's skin rippled with waves of bright orange, their color of joy and friendship. "We ask only that you help us meet other species," Mu-Han explained. "Many of them do not understand our peaceful ways, but they respect humans. You could help us build bridges." The station's AI dimmed the artificial rain until it was just a whisper. Outside, Earth turned slowly below them, its autumn colors matching the gentle golds and oranges of the autumn folk's skin. "Before we finish our agreement," Kehoe said, "we would like to share a ceremony from our world. It marks the beginning of new friendships." They raised their long fingers, and the other autumn folk moved to form a circle with the humans. The memory crystals floated down to hover between them all. Soft light began to pulse from the crystals, matching the rhythm of the remaining raindrops. The autumn folk's skin started to change colors in complex patterns, creating waves of light that looked like autumn leaves falling in sunlight. "This is the pattern of new seasons," Kehoe explained as their skin shifted through beautiful colors. "It shows how change brings growth, just as autumn brings new colors to your trees." The humans watched in wonder as the lights and colors danced around them. The station's AI adjusted the atmosphere perfectly, making the last drops of rain catch the light like tiny crystals. Even Minho, the security officer, felt completely at peace. "With this ceremony," Kehoe said, their voice mixing with the gentle sounds around them, "we mark the beginning of a new season of cooperation between our peoples." He-Jin looked at his fellow crew members, Songmai with her careful notes, Ta-Wan with his translation devices, Jaya with her empty cider cups, and Minho with his newfound understanding. They had all learned so much in one peaceful dinner. "We accept your friendship," He-Jin said simply, "and we look forward to growing together." As the ceremony ended, the first real rain clouds gathered over Asia far below. The autumn folk's skin shifted to match the approaching storm, not in fear or worry, but in celebration of nature's endless cycles. They had found what they were looking for, a species that remembered to watch the leaves change color, even as they reached for the stars.